Today's Gospel is Matthew 19, 11 through 12. Jesus replied, "Not everyone can accept this word, but only those to whom it has been given. For some are eunuchs because they were born that way. Others were made that way by men. And others have renounced marriage because of the kingdom of heaven. The one who can accept this should accept this." This is the word of the Lord, and herein lies our trust. You know, June, like we said, is Pride Month. And it is a time when we celebrate everything that we are, everyone that we are. We celebrate all the things that make us so proud to be a member of the gay and lesbian, bi, transgender community. And ironically to many, Father's Day also comes in June. Today, in fact, as we've seen. And it's ironic because so many fathers don't exactly encourage that rainbow pride in their children. They won't even allow the thought of it to blossom, rather quite the opposite. They step on it with the full force of their might, again and again, stifling, extinguishing, trying to strangle the very flame that makes us so special, that makes you so special. They won't have it, not their child, they say. "Honey, sweetie, why aren't you wearing the Easter dress your grandma bought you?" "Darling, I can fix these brakes. Why don't you go on inside and help your mama in the kitchen?" "Son, what do you mean you don't like football? Every man likes football." And my favorite, "Boy, what are you doing wearing mommy's heels?" All of these things that sound familiar to us because we've heard them. You know, when I was a kid, I liked to play with Barbies, but of course I didn't own any Barbies, so I had to go next door and play with the girl next door's Barbies. And I could do the most fabulous, fiercest updo on a Barbie you ever saw. You know, and I always thought, I'm going to give this Barbie a pedicure. And so, you know, I got out the scissors, and if you've ever seen a Barbie's foot, then you can't really see the toes, much less the toenails. And so I would cut off like half her foot, you know, and then I was like, it's not mine. And so the girl was always just really offended that I chopped up her Barbie. But many of you, you know, you share very similar stories. Minus the mutilation, but you share very, very similar stories in your childhood. You know, there were times when you wanted to play outside of the box. There were times when you wanted to play in a sandbox of a different color. You know, then a sandbox that was a different color, then somehow you were already pre-assigned. You know, it seems as soon as we are at the doctor's office and our parents get their sonogram back, we are either pink or we are either blue and nowhere in between. It's already settled. And we, you know, before we've even taken our very first breath, the nursery is dangling with ballet shoes. Before they've even seen our face, our room is slapped over with race cars. And our whole life, our whole personality, seemingly already mapped out for us. And it would be one thing if it just stopped there, but it doesn't. Our entire society is still trying to squeeze us into pink or blue boxes, into what they think the gender norm should be. Sadly, as we always like to hold a mirror up to ourselves, it happens within, you know, the GLBT community against one another. I cannot tell you how many times I've heard drag queens bashed or looked down upon, especially by gay youth that don't understand. Sometimes it's our transgender brothers and sisters who face terrible discrimination by other gays and lesbians. Are we a community of acceptance? Are we supposed to be evolved past that kind of judgment? Why are we trying to squeeze our own brothers and sisters into those boxes? We must also understand that this affects the straight community as well, because many of the people who get picked on are not even gay and lesbian to begin with, but rather perceived to be solely because of the traits that they carry. When I was in school, I remember middle school, the drama teacher would try to recruit me, the choir director tried to recruit me, and I so wanted to. I wanted to do it. But I thought, I've got enough problems. I don't need that too. I can't be associated with that. And so I denied myself, and as I stand here today, I know that I am changed because of it. Because my spiritual gifts went unnurtured. Sadly, children every day are changed because they are afraid to step out of the pink or blue box that they've been stuck in. As you look back over your life, how have you been changed? Who would you be today, free from the limits of your gender box? Many of the bully teens that we saw last year, like we said, were not even gay, only thought to be, assumed to be, because of their differing characteristics. Maybe they were just a little bit more feminine than the other boys. Maybe their wrist was a little dangly than the others. Maybe they had a lisp. Maybe they were just a little prettier than the others. Maybe the girls walked a little tougher. They had short haircuts, or they didn't look like the cheerleaders. One memorable suicide last year, Nicholas, still echoes in my mind and my heart, and it haunts me because when I say his name, I see his face. He transferred from football to band, and which sadly proved to be a very fatal decision for him. Who knew that hobbies could lead to death? Make no mistake about it, it is the characteristics, it is the traits, it is the mannerisms that strike ultimate fear in the world. And so we ask ourselves, as we try to understand, why do we think that is? Why do you think that is? Why are they so afraid? I think when they see a masculine woman who can build and who can use her hands, it makes them see you ladies as more of a man, which threatens their manhood, because it allows a man to share in their elevated status, somehow lessening their value. From their eyes, my effeminate qualities make me less of a man, and somehow makes them less of a man. Because if we're both men, then that puts them in the same category with the flamer. And they won't stand for that. They have to lash out. You see, it's very scary to them. It strikes fear in them because they don't understand. They say, that's not how it's supposed to be. That's not how God intended it. Men are supposed to work. And women are supposed to bring out the limonada whenever they get too hot. When they, anything that seems to be outside of the pink or blue box is just wrong. That's how a lot of the society sees it. They say that it's unnatural. They say that it's certainly not of God. I've heard it say that God was pretty clear on man and woman being separate. Or were they? My job as pastor is to call up scriptures for you to study, for you to examine, for you to see differently than you once thought. Because after all, it is Pride Month. And so I want you to be proud of the magnificent and beautiful way that you were made, gay or straight. If society thinks our characteristics are ungodly or somehow unnatural, then why don't we go back to the beginning of nature and find out? Genesis chapter 1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. He said, let there be light, and it was good. He created the water and the sky, and it was good. He created the plants and the trees, and it was good. He created the sun and the moon and the stars, and say it with me, it was good. And then God said, let us make mankind. So God created mankind in his own image. Male and female, he created them, and it was good. It was good. You see, God is neither male nor female. He is both, and we are created in both of those images, and it is good. So to deny either of those characteristics in ourselves, to deny it in others, is to deny the very characteristics of God. Ungodly, you say? But wait, there's more. Some may say, well, yes, God is male and female, but he placed those characteristics in separate creatures. Oh, did he now? Genesis chapter 2. So the Lord caused Adam to fall in a deep sleep, and he took one of his ribs, and he made woman. And this is where translation really comes into play, because the actual translation of rib is the Hebrew word tesla, and what that means is not rib at all, it means side. So God took one side of Adam and made woman. You see, God originally made mankind with both characteristics, masculine and feminine, existing in one body, and it was good. The scripture tells us it was good. God took feminine qualities that already existed in Adam in order to make Eve. Unnatural, you say? Now, if you don't believe me, and if you don't believe the Genesis, then believe the words of Jesus Christ, our authority. Matthew 12. Jesus is speaking with the disciples. He's talking to them about marriage. He's talking to them about women. He's talking to them about divorce, his very strict view of divorce. And the disciples are disturbed and they say, Jesus, that's so hard to follow. You know, if that's the case, then maybe we just shouldn't marry at all. Maybe we just shouldn't do it. Jesus says, well, not everyone can accept this teaching. For there are eunuchs who were born that way, and there are eunuchs who have been made eunuchs by others, and there are those who choose to live like eunuchs for the sake of the kingdom of heaven. Here, Jesus identifies 3 types of men who should not marry women. First, there are those who have made themselves eunuchs for the kingdom of heaven, which are those who don't marry to better serve God. Secondly, he mentions those who have been made eunuchs by others, which is an apparent reference to castrated males. But Jesus mentions a third category, eunuchs who were born that way, those who came out of the womb not suitable to marry women. You see, eunuchs were associated with stereotypically effeminate characteristics and behavior, just like modern gay men. And they were often associated with homosexual desires. And surprisingly, they were held in very high self-esteem. They were trusted to protect the royal women, all of them, because they knew that eunuchs did not have desire for women. The royal bloodline would be safe. High esteem. How did we get to this place today? You see, Jesus says very, very matter-of-factly that some people are just simply born that way. Why, George, I think Lady Gaga is onto something. In fact, I think she stole those words from our Christ. The implications of Jesus' words are deeply profound because God created us just the way that we are. Jesus says so. You see, God never intended for any of us, for you to be stuck in a pink or blue box, to be limited by a society that says what you should be. He created you with very specific qualities that were placed in each of you, qualities that are all masculine and feminine in one. Do not let society change you. Do not be changed. You know, I say to you men, if you want to arrange flowers, then girl, go ahead and arrange flowers. To you ladies, I say to you, if you want to arrange flowers, girl, go ahead and arrange flowers. Be who you were meant to be. Because there is time for us to live free. It's time for us to live proud, to embody both sides of God within us, pink and blue. Since this song came out, you all knew it was just a matter of time before we sung it in our church. Well, it is Pride Month, and today is the day, because, baby, you were born this way. And again, those aren't the words of Lady Gaga. It is the words of Jesus Christ in today's gospel. Even though you live in a world that tries to hold you back, make you feel less, deem you unworthy, take great assurance in the fact that we are lovingly born this very way. We were born that way in the beginning of time. We were born that way in Jesus' time, and we are still born that way today, and it is good. Amen. It's time we bust out of the box and be ourselves, because God blesses you when you are authentic. Amen.
It doesn't matter if you love him or capital H-I-M. Just put your paws up, because you were born this way, baby.
Yeah.
I'm on the right track, baby, I was born this way. Don't hide yourself in regret, just love yourself and yourself. I'm on the right track, baby, I was born this way. Ooh, there ain't no other way, baby, I was born this way. Baby, I was born track. Baby, I was born this way. Don't hide yourself in regret. Just love yourself and you said, I'm on the right track. Baby, I was born this way. Oh, there ain't no other way. Baby, I was born this way. Baby, I was born this way. Oh, there ain't no other way. Baby, I was born this way. On the right track. Baby, I was born this way.
Just be a queen, whether you're broke or evergreen. Your black, white, beige, your love is sent. Your Lebanese, your Orient. Whether life's disabilities left you outcast for liberties. Rejoice and love yourself today, cause baby, you were born this way.
No matter can't see the fire that's being changing the life. I'm on the right track, baby. I was born to survive. No matter black, white, or beige, Chola or Orient, I'm on the right track, baby. I was born to be brave. I'm beautiful in my way. It's God makes no mistakes. I'm on the right track, baby. I was born this way. Don't hide yourself in regret. Just love yourself and you said, I'm on the right track, baby. I was born this way. I was born this way. Hey, I was born this way. Hey, I'm on the right track, baby. I was born this way. Hey, I was born this way. Hey, I was born this way. Hey, I'm on the right track, baby. I was born this way. Hey.
Now get up and sing it with us, come on.
Don't hide yourself in regret. Just love yourself and you said, I'm on the right track, baby. I was born this way. I was born this way. Hey, I was born this way. Hey, I'm on the right track, baby. I was born this way. Hey, I was born this way. Hey, I was born this way. Hey, I'm on the right track, baby. I was born this way. Hey.